Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez here. I am printing a photo on my 8550 using Canon. What is it now? Let me remember here. Premium matte. So that is the best matte paper that they have. And I have created a profile. Now this is Canon paper, which I should be printing over there instead of over here. This is an Epson printer. But you're going to love the results we get. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Take a look at that. And this is using a dye ink printer, but the secret behind this is using matte black pigment ink, which is part of the ink set this printer comes with. So that's what makes it possible to be able to create, super dense blacks on a matte paper that normally a dye ink printer will basically fail to produce. Okay, so I'm using QImage Ultimate to print this. Now someone asks, how do you create or save a set of settings? I'm going to walk you through that in a couple of seconds. So hang in there. Let me put this down. And we'll be right back. So here we are in QImage Ultimate, and that combination of the Canon Pro Premium Matte Paper being utilized on an Epson EcoTank 8550 with a custom profile. And of course, that just guarantees that you will have the best output possible having a custom profile. But here's the key. So say you have several images, you have several types of paper, and you have experimented and come up with combinations that basically work. They really work and produce exactly what you expect that printer to produce. In other words, a very, very close match to what you see on your screen. So how do you save this set of multiple settings so that you can come back in the future and just duplicate that quality output? Otherwise, you'll be experimenting all over again. So here's what you do. So we already have the QImage Ultimate software set up properly. Let me walk you through that real quick. So we have picked the 8550 and notice how many printers I have. So it becomes very imperative that I create a lot of presets so that I can go back and regardless of the type of printer or the brand or the model, I'm able to duplicate what I saw in a previous job that produced a print that I positively fell in love with. So I want to be able to duplicate the same set of settings that created that marvelous output on that particular paper, on that particular printer. So here's a combination we use for this example I just showed you. So we picked the 8550 presentation paper matte. That is the Epson paper type that I used when I created the profile. It's the closest thing that I could find within all of these other paper types that matches what I am printing, those color charts that I am then going to scan and produce that profile. This is simply your paper size. And then here is the profile. So as you can see, it says Epson EcoTank 8550 Canon Photo Matte, and then the chart 400. That just means that I printed 400 patches for me to scan and create that profile with. But I want to be able to save this. I want to be able to just come back to it, say a month down the road, and be able to duplicate exactly the same results that I have here. So how did I achieve that? Let's go ahead and remove this. And simply, I want to add that I did add a border, and that's done here. So you go to Prints, More, and then the second choice from the top, specify 1 dimension/border size, and I entered 0.5. So this is the paper border, and I saved that. Boom. You see now I have a 1/2 inch border, but I did not want this image to be cropped. So I selected and I go down here to this auto cropping. See that? It is on. I want to turn that off. Now I am not cropping my original image. That way, I still have that upper and lower or right side. Since we're going to be viewing this on landscape mode, I have a 1/2 inch border on the right side and a 1/2 inch border on the left side, and then equal wider borders to compensate for that longer rectangular format of my image. So let's go ahead and save that. We're going to go here to the Save button. It says Save Current Printer Settings. Click on that. We're going to enter whatever we want to enter that would allow us to then be able to identify that particular set of settings that we saved. As you can see, I have many here already set. So you go ahead and enter whatever you feel is the name that you will then be able to identify that set of settings, that particular group of settings that you use to create that photograph. Just enter that there and then save. So before we test to see if this really works, let's go ahead and completely change everything around. I'm going to choose my Pro 1000. I'm going to choose a different paper, such as Premium Fine Art Smooth, 11 by 14 in this case. You notice something happened here. The AI in QImage Ultimate is actually changing my settings to match the choices that I have just entered. But that's not what we want. Let's just say that we just got done printing a job and it happened to have these settings, but we want to go back and print on that fancy Canon Pro Matte paper. So let's go ahead and go back to this folder. We're going to locate that Epson EcoTank 8550 Canon Pro. Let's go ahead and look for it. And there it is right here. We'll double click. And it comes back to that particular setting, which is Epson 8550 series presentation paper matte, letter size. And the best part is that profile has been automatically chosen, because that's what I chose when I created that particular set of settings that I then saved. So we need to check to make sure that our driver is not using any kind of color management. So we'll go to more options and advanced, no color adjustment. So that is automatically set for us. All we have to do now is load an image. And we have two of them here loaded. We can go ahead and print that. It's done. That's it. It will be exactly what we expect it to be, because we are using the original settings that produced that one print I just showed you earlier. You see? So let's just say I want to remove these. I'm going to select and click delete. Go back to my prints. Go back to more. Go back to my 1/2" border or whatever size border I want to use. There you go. Let's change this one, change that one, and load this other one. Boom, done. You see? Very simple. If you want to not crop it, select it, undo crop, and there you go. And if you just go ahead and then print it, assuming that you have the correct paper loaded, you will get perfect results. Same thing here. Same thing here. Okay? So make sure that when you get that perfect print and you're worried about remembering what did I just do here to create such a great result, save those settings. Go here to the Save button, enter the name of the printer, enter the size of the paper, and that's it. That's all you have to do. And make sure that you then remember that that was the setting that you were using. And anytime you want to then, recall those particular settings to reproduce the same quality output with whatever image you want to then print, you could just recall it, and that is it. It will be brought back regardless of what you previously had saved it as. Okay? So you can see once you begin to save all your settings, say for instance you're basically printing always on 5 types of paper, you can create separate settings or save separate settings for different sizes, paper, combination, whatever, border, anything you enter in your layout, and then you save that particular set will be recalled or able to be recalled at a later date. There's no more chance of you making an error. I used to do those all the time. Call me Mr. Error. That's all I ever did. I couldn't remember, with so many printers to use, I couldn't remember how I was able to get such a great output out of that printer and paper and even ink combinations. So again, of course, and also profile. So once you save that, and you remember the name that you gave it, it's got to be a very descriptive name, so you can then go back and find it and then load it, and all of those settings are brought back instantly. and that will guarantee that job to come out as great as that previous one before you saved those settings. In other words, you see what I mean? So every time you open one of those particular saved settings, you'll be able to duplicate those outputs that amazed you or you fell in love with. That is it for now. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. And as always, happy printing. Bye bye, everyone.